Yeah. I just haven't seen an old school 5 in so long.
I know. I got one out
It's
of
like friggin' paper money.
I got one from a coffee shop, I think. I think it was a coffee shop.
Yeah. Hey, what? Hey, 2005 called. They want their money back, good sir. This, like, just this growing trend that these dumbass teenagers are just...
it's in every generation of teenager.
I get every generation, but like what were like? Well, I mean, I guess you're part of a later generation. Hi, what was like?
Dude, I'm way older than you.
Oh, okay.
When you were 18,
Yeah,
many centuries ago,
Yeah.
teenagers were still cringy. Teenagers did stupid stuff.
Teenagers will always do stupid
Exactly.
things.
Well,
There will always be the stupid ones.
yes, obviously, but the trend for teenagers to start
Like fake disorder. Cringe.
faking their own mental disorders. When did that
no.
start? That was like
That's definitely
2000s.
later
right?
than That's later than mine.
That is
No one in mine would ever do that.
that came around when social media started. Like we started seeing that pop up in the MySpace days, and then like Tumblr days really blew up, and now TikTok has their grasp
So
on
where would you place the timeline? 2000, 2005, around that time, or is it
2005-ish,
Yeah,
probably.
2005?
It was like a
Like,
good one, yeah.
what were the things they were pretending to have back then, though? Because it wasn't what it is now. I think it was like
that makes them stick out from the crowd that is not normalized.
like a big one I remember was diabetes.
Mm-hmm.
Now you go on TikTok and you see these buffoons, and they say they have dissociative identity disorder, and it's clear, especially on the YouTubes, where they're like, watch me switch identities, and then they go,
Yeah.
and it's like
very bad.
it's some idiot it's some idiot that watched Glass or Split and was like, James McAvoy's good at acting, I could do that for attention.
Pretty much. Or like there was some viral YouTube videos that were about like a criminal pretending to be insane.
Yeah.
And a couple months ago, one of these videos went around, and it was like this kid who had murdered some people. He had pretended to be insane during the interview. The police just like completely like took it down. Like they knew exactly that he was faking. Before, one of the most popular things I had seen people fake about was Tourette's. It's all like a lot of people fake having Tourette's,
Yeah.
and it was very obvious they were faking,
That-
in my opinion.
all that reminds me of is that episode of South Park when Cartman just hears of the disease Asperger's, but he doesn't know what it is.
Yeah.
So he just shoves a bunch of burgers up his butt, and
Yeah.
he goes to the hospital, and the nurse is like,
Why are there hamburgers in your underwear? Are you serious? How could there be... Oh my god! You're saying I have Asperger's?
that being said, like, with the criminal, that is a different case. Because, let's be honest here, if you killed a guy and you were in jail, like, and the cops were interrogating you, of course you're going to try and fake some mental illness to get out of it. Everybody and their mums would. It's self-preservation. Don't get me wrong, that guy's a scumbag, but I don't fault him trying to do that. You know, I feel like any would-be criminal would try to do that. I'm just flabbergasted by the thinking process.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be like, I'm diabetic, because that's hard to prove. Well, no, that's not really hard to prove. If you're diabetic, you need like one of those insulin checking things, or the blood sugar checks. It's one of those things where it's like, people kind of take your word for it. Dissociative identity disorder is one of like the rarest mental disorders on Earth.
And still, like, we're still learning a ton about it every day.
Yeah, and these people, like, I just don't get why these people would pick the hardest mental illness to fake. And more so, the more cringy ones are like these girls I see that it's like, I'm in love with one of my alternate identities, so I bought them a bouquet of flowers and I'm gonna leave them at the table.
I haven't seen any of that.
And then I'm gonna go, and then later on, it turns on a TikTok, but it's supposed to be a different person.
Of course.
And they're like, I hate these flowers, and they throw them down.
That's not how it works.
Yeah, that's not how. And you see, it's like, it's clear that some of these people are obviously just faking it for the views. But you see doctors looking at these videos, and they just can't. They're like, that's not what dissociative identity disorder is. That's like a movie level understanding of mental illness.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Just the level of stupidity of those
I
those
feel
kids
like-
is on par with like anti-vaxxers for me.
In the whole movement of like, faking mental illness and all these things, I feel like just due to how, you know, there has been such an extreme push about accepting like mental illness because it should be accepted, this is not something that should just be shunned. You should not just be like, oh, they're crazy, goodbye. So I feel like because as a society we're slowly becoming more and more just acceptable as a group to so many illnesses that people suffer from, that now like the bar is so much higher.
See,
like the bar teenagers have to jump through, like back in Tumblr days, it was like every single person had like PTSD, depression, and anxiety. And again, online, those are extremely hard to prove because it was just a blog format.
Yeah.
But now that it's TikTok and it's a visual format, you have to go above and beyond to prove that you have something.
Yeah, it's just that in that same vein, like, you're putting yourself in a situation where if a doctor sees you, they're just gonna say you're full of it, that you're an idiot. Oh my God, what the heck is that guy doing?
What?
Well, you know how you have mystery shoppers?
Yeah.
He's a security tester.
Dude, if that was a job, a security mystery shopper, and all you had to do was go to malls and start stuff, that would be the greatest job ever. Are you kidding me?
I mean, we already called security, so hopefully they do their job.
Yeah. I'll go to like Dairy Queen and like, you're not my real mom. You can't tell me to eat my vegetables.
Prove to me that that's actually dairy.
Dude, don't be an idiot. Dairy doesn't exist, all right? Open up your third eye. God! I'll tell you what I told Hi. So the other day, I was going downtown for some business, and so I went there early, as I always do. I was just practicing, having some breakfast, having a cup of coffee.
I think Gordon told me about
Yeah,
this.
and so this guy like comes and he doesn't like, he's obviously like kind of twitchy, and he sits down on the opposite side of the bench to me. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And he pulls out a bong, and I'm like, oh, you know what? That's cool. I'm gonna have some of that when I'm done when I'm done with this whole business. But then he pulls out a blowtorch, and I'm like, all right, well maybe he just like is really hardcore into weed. And he smokes the weed, and I'm like, all right, that's cool. Have some breakfast. I turn back. He now has a crack pipe that he's lighting, and he's like smoking the crack, and he's just like. And I was like, whoa, okay, take a step. I'm like, all right, you know what? Whatever. I'm going to try and not judge this guy. Eat some more. By the way, this isn't like over the course of an hour. This is over like 25, 30 minutes. I turn back again. He now is lighting a meth pipe with like the blowtorch, and he smokes the meth. He doesn't even wait for the crack high to go down before he starts doing the meth. Wow. And then as I'm leaving, I turn, and he's like tying plastic around his arm for heroin.
God.
And by the way, when he pulled out the crack, it wasn't like a tiny little bag of crack like you see in the movies. It was like a Ziploc of crack. Wow. Like it was like a fist-sized amount of crack that he crushed. I'm like, where does one get that much crack?
I mean, he was trying to have one last hurrah, I guess.
I guess he looked fine. That was the thing. It was just like he had that Freddie Mercury thing where he just did so much drugs. He was like 80% drugs.
Yeah.
Yeah. I gotta say, I've fallen into like a very, very deep rabbit hole. I was telling Hi about it. Do you know who Chris Chan is?
Oh, do I know who Chris Chan is?
Oh my God.
I have been on the up and up for like 13 years.
What? I'm almost in my 30s. I absolutely have no idea how I lived this long without discovering who Chris Chan was.
Oh my, I've been heavily invested in the Chris Chan saga since I was like 12 or 13 years old.
Now we're gonna get a prison story arc, and then hopefully a redemption arc.
Oh my, no redemption, prison shall be the last one.
Well, no, because I think I looked up, and the highest possible sentence he can have is 6 years.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, so,
but
I mean, he might get institutionalized,
but
that might be the redemption arc.
Yeah, very, very confusing individual, because like, like Chris Chan is not connected to reality. You know that they believe in like other dimension, like we're in another dimension, like fairies and stuff.
Yeah, and then he tried to punch holes in his wall to break the barrier to get back to his own dimension.
Bruh. He has essentially all of the worst symptoms he could possibly have for what he suffers from. Had no support at home. There's even more proof that he was being abused at home. The internet got their claws into him, did not let go. He became one of the internet's first lolcows, and it was just extreme downhill.
Well, and I mean, I gotta be honest.
Insane.
So, I discovered Chris Chan only because I realized...
Only because of the recent news.
No.
Really?
Not at all. I recently discovered Chris Chan only because I used him as an example of a cringy nerd in one of the thumbnails. I literally went on Google, I looked up cringy people, he was one of the results, I went, that'll definitely do it. And so when the news broke out, I was like, I recognize that guy. And I knew nothing, so I started trying to do some research, and I discovered a 59-part documentary series.
Oh, I know, I'm up to date. I'm up to date.
I'm not. Okay, no spoilers, I'm only on chapter 9. I'm only on chapter 9.
I'm very sad. So the creator, I forget the username, whatever it is, he's going on a break, he's on hiatus currently, and so we're not going to get an update on the current what's happening, because like he was going to have a bit of a break anyways, but now he said he's
you can look it up. All that is in the current news cycle.
He literally said he's going to take like a half a year break just to let everything kind of like get settled, since everything is so new and fresh. Dude, I am on the up and up. It is insane. My poor roommate has had to listen to me talk about Christian for an absorbent amount of time. I feel so bad for her.
Yeah, and I do agree. This kid needed serious help.
He needed serious
help. And he did
help.
not get it. The parents are partially to blame.
Yeah.
That being said, his current actions are not
deplorable.
Cannot be justified by his mental illness.
No, not at all.
He can't. It went to a point when you felt bad for him.
Yeah.
But then you realize past a point that he just goes. He believes that he can use I'm autistic as an excuse to justify any behavior, including chucking hearts at women in the mall, including dressing up like Ash Ketchum and then Kamehamehaing security guards. You know, it's just at one point like you can only feel bad for him for so long, and then you realize that he's beyond awareness of reality, you know, and he thinks that because he's a high-functioning autistic, he can do whatever he wants and get away with it. I'm not gonna say his name because he doesn't want to be mentioned, but we all know autistic autistic friends. I've had a few of them. Not a single one of them act like him.
No, of course. He was given some of the worst possible symptoms that he had to deal with in life. Like he had. From the get-go, was going to have a hard time. Yeah. He needed support. He needed help. He needed parents who could understand and who could get help and could reach out for people who could help if they are unable to. But not only was he handed the worst of the worst, like he was going to have a hard time from the get-go, but then it was just a snowball effect of everything awful that could happen. And then the moment the internet got a hold of him, and Christian has no filters, he'll just say anything. Yeah. And the moment the internet was just like, this is funny, we're gonna keep doing this, and the trolls got a hold of him, dude. It's one of the best sagas on the internet.
I was reading the news today, and apparently he got his charges read in court, right? Mm-hmm. And when the judge was reading stuff he didn't like, he started stamping his feet really loud to try and drown out the judge. And then apparently he tried to curse Kamehameha the judge, which I feel like the judge deflected it because then he found out he was being held without bail. Mm-hmm. And as he was being dragged away, he was like, I'm famous on the internet.
Yeah.
It's
unfortunate.
It really, truly is a train wreck.
It is.
I can't look away. I feel bad.
It is a train wreck. It's a great saga for those of us who have extreme morbid curiosity.
Yeah. It's for me.
I personally enjoy researching and reading stuff that makes me want to gorge out my eyeballs and just bleed from my ears. So it's the cream of the crop.
For me, it's an example of a social experiment gone wrong. Horribly, horribly wrong.
Or right. Depending on how you want to look at it.
I mean, people always ask, I wonder what would happen if a kid was raised by the internet.
No. I thought the worst that was going to happen with Christian was when he... He did that. He, cut himself open.
What?
Yeah.
You know what? This has been a really dark episode so far. Let's talk about something happy. So, I got nothing. Hi, sit down or take a step to your right.
No, you get nothing for this shot.
Oh.
I had nothing else to do. I played a bunch of Risk of Rain 2, which is super fun.
You played what?
Risk of Rain 2.
What's that?
It's like a item roguelike game where there's a bunch of classes. You and up to 4 people can choose classes. You get put into the game. There's on average 1 to 5 stages. The maps are random which map you get, but each map is pre-generated. Like, you know exactly what the map's going to look like.
Right.
But there's a couple ways to play it. You can either have it on my favorite mode, which is being able to choose the items you want to get, or there's the classic mode, which is the items that you get from treasure and stuff like that are completely random, and then it's just trying to get a good kit and like a good build going to be able to get to the final round, which is like
like
boss,
a roguelike,
beat it all, so it's like kind of like roguelike-y, but it's really, really enjoyable.
And that was Risk of Rain 2?
Yeah, Risk of Rain 2.
The first one, Risk of Rain 1, is a side-scroller. Procedurally generated levels.
Okay.
The second one is 3D.
Mm-hmm.
That's the big difference between Risk of Rain 1 and 2.
Okay.
They're still, like, identical in terms of procedurally generated.
So Risk of Rain 2 is still a side-scroller?
No, it's 3D.
3D.
Okay. Okay. It's like a top-down roguelike, right?
Third person.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay,
And I
that's
think you can
interesting.
actually zoom into first person, but it is
Not good.
not recommended.
Well, I was...
Not easy.
You know what? I used to love first person, but now I'm very much a third person kind of guy. Yeah. So I signed up for this thing called like Xbox Game Pass or whatever. It's $12 a month, but the first month is $1, so I thought I'd give it a try just because they have all the Yakuza games. So at least I'll play through those and then I'll cancel it once that's done.
Yeah.
But I also downloaded Battlefield to try and play that, and God, just first-person shooters. Just I remember like when I was a teenager that was like the gold standard of gaming. But man, the quality of first-person games have just like really really bad.
Which Battlefield?
Battlefield 1 and Battlefield 5.
Both terrible games.
Yeah, terrible.
Everyone that plays Battlefield just goes back to Battlefield 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, they don't play Battlefield 1 because
I don't
it's
even like Battlefield 4.
5.
The last good Battlefield was Battlefield Bad Company 2.
I mean, I guess.
That was the
But
greatest Battlefield game ever made.
I gotta say, I'm pretty jazzed for 2042.
I'm not. I've like I said.
To be fair, I also don't play solo. I'm always in a squad.
Yeah.
Same with how I'm playing Back 4 Blood right now.
Yeah.
If I had to play single player it, I wouldn't play it.
Yeah.
It's trash having to do with pick up people.
Yeah.
But having a squad of people that can get your back is pretty nice.
Yeah.
I saw the Green Knight and Pig, right? That's what
Yeah.
I did this week.
Pig. Oh my God. Actually, yeah. I forgot. So Nicolas Cage's new movie Pig is amazing. It's kind of like people thought it was like John Wick, where Nick Cage is a legendary chef named Robin Feld, who lives by himself with his truffle-finding pig, until one day people come knock him out and steal his pig. And so for the first time in years, he has to go back into the city to search for his lost stolen pig. So it's kind of like John Wick in that way. But what I loved is that it's actually the opposite of John Wick. It's a deconstruction of what people expect in kind of like revenge movies. Every time there's a situation where you would think that Nicolas Cage's character would kill a guy, because you know Keanu Reeves' character would absolutely kill that person, he doesn't. This is a person who doesn't want violence, and that was the most surprising part, is that there really isn't much violence in the movie. Every chance, like every scene when you think, oh, Nick Cage is about to like fuck a guy up, he doesn't. He actually finds like a peaceful way to consolidate and like figure the situation out. But I really enjoyed it just because it talks a lot about relationships. It talks a lot about kind of like fatherhood and like being with somebody, being true to who you are. And I will say, some people, like some critics, have said Nicolas Cage deserves an Academy Award nomination for it. He absolutely does, for one scene in that movie where like they're in a fancy restaurant from this hotshot chef, and the hotshot chef comes over to the table and recognizes Nick Cage, and the guy sits down, and Nick Cage is like, "Tell me where my truffle pig is," and he goes like, "Oh, I can't. I respect you," and Nick Cage just destroys this person's soul.
They're not real. You get that, right? None of it is real. The critics aren't real. The customers aren't real. Because this isn't real. You aren't real. Every day you'll wake up and there'll be less of you. You live your life for them and they don't even see you. You don't even see yourself.
Man, it's like the whole movie is about like, where you are in life, and it's like, are you really happy with where you are right now? Are you doing what you want to do, or what you just expect other people to do? It was brilliant. It was really brilliant. Yeah, and then you saw Green Knight, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we discussed this.
Yeah.
The ending.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I don't know how to feel about this. I mean, we're probably not gonna. This probably isn't gonna come out for another week or two, so I feel like by then spoilers are gonna be okay.
Yeah.
The only thing I saw about the Green Knight is that the critics liked it and the audience hated it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So do you know the legend of Sir Gawain and the Green Knight?
I know nothing.
Okay.
Someone told me about it and I still know nothing.
Okay.
I just tuned out because I don't care.
Yeah. It's a very dry read. The only reason I fucking know this story is because I had to write a paper about it in college. Basically, King Arthur and the Round Table, right? Mm-hmm. They're like knights and shit. They're all talking about like the great deeds they've done, and Sir Gawain, this guy, he's the young one, so he's never really done anything. So he's like, oh, I'm sad, I don't have any adventures. Then all of a sudden, this big hulking Green Knight comes in, and it was like, I want to play a game with you guys. I want to see which one of you guys can strike me down. So Sir Gawain, because he's desperate to have his own kind of famous good deed, he gets up and he just, with a swing, he cuts the Green Knight's head off. But the Green Knight like picks up his own head and was like, in a year, you have to come find me, and I'm going to do that to you. And then he like just fucks off. And so Sir Gawain's like, well, I'm honor bound. I'm a knight. I have to be true to my word, so I got to go find this guy. He goes on this whole adventure. I hear in the movie they add a bunch of weird mystical shit in it. But long story short, he finds a temple. There's an old guy in there who's like, hey, you can stay with me. I'll help you out. Like, after staying the night, he finds the Green Knight. And, you know, he could run away, but he's like, no, I'm a knight. I swore an oath. Here's your fucking axe. Hit me. You know, and so the Green Knight, like, takes a swing, but then he flinches. So the Green Knight stops and makes fun of him for being a little bitch. And so Gawain's like, you know what? No, you're right. All right, do it again. I won't flinch. And the Green Knight kind of swings, but right before he hits him, he kind of, like, just stops right at his neck and just nicks him a little bit. And he was like, there, we're even. This whole thing, and then he turns into the old man he met at the tower. And the guy's just like, I'm like a nature god or whatever. I was just fucking around with you. This whole thing was a test.
Yeah, you just, emotionally tortured yourself for the past year.
Yeah, but it's like the whole point was honesty. Was that you could have run away and told people you did it, but you didn't. You came here and you actually went and took the hit. Here's a green sash to remind you of your honesty and your bravery. And so he goes back to King Arthur and he's like, hey guys, I did it. And the guy gave me this green sash. And so King Arthur says all knights wear a green sash to remind themselves to be honest. The whole theme of the story is honesty. But in the movie, they added a bunch of mystical shit. And in the trailer, they make it look like really epic. But there's like apparently no fighting.
Well, of course, it's like the classic move where they put all the cool stuff in the trailer.
Well, not the cool stuff. It's just that they make it...
The action. Which there isn't any actual action.
Yeah, I think that's what pissed people off. But what pissed me off was that Hai told me at the end of the movie, it just, like, the knight, like, takes the axe and then just, like, swings and then it just cuts to black.
No. He goes to cut and then he flinches and runs away. And then it does this whole scene where he becomes king. He conquers a lot, but then he loses in the end. And he's still wearing the green sash because his mother gives him the green sash.
Right.
And it'll protect him from anyone who dares to do him harm. Right. So he's just sitting in the throne room by himself at the end, and he's like, nothing can ever harm me, but I've lived a dishonest life. And he takes the sash off, and then his head just falls off. And it's like, holy crap. And then it zooms back, and he's back at the temple, the chapel with the Green Knight. And the Green Knight is getting ready again, and he goes, wait. And the Green Knight's like, huh? And then he takes the sash off and throws it away from him. And he goes, now I'm ready. Uh-huh. And then the Green Knight kneels down to him and wipes the tears off his eyes from him fucking crying about the shit that happened in his dream or whatever. Yeah. And goes, off with your head. And then it cuts to black.
Yeah. So I can see why, like, people are pissed. Like,
it's like Bridge to Terabithia.
Don't even get started with Bridge to fucking Terabithia. I'm gonna fucking start crying right now if you start talking to me about
That movie
Terabithia.
was